Let us pray. O God, may the words of my mouth and the meditation of all our hearts be an acceptable offering in your sight. Amen. Our Old Testament reading from Jeremiah, a lectionary designated reading for today, stated, "I will put my law within them, and I will write it on their hearts, and I will be their God, and they shall be my people." End quote. God has given us laws in the form of the Ten Commandments and in the teaching of Jesus. But the prophet Jeremiah promises a day when God's laws will no longer be imposed from without. They will be written on our hearts. We will live God's commandments instead of just obeying them. Because the riches of God's gifts are visible at harvest time: waving heads of grain, cornfields, baskets of produce, trucks full of potatoes. And yet people are hungry. Jeremiah tells us God's new covenant means we will be governed by love instead of the law. When that happens, all God's gifts will be shared, and all people will know a world of justice. With those thoughts in mind, we turn to the New Testament reading, which tells the parable of the bare fig tree. Some Bible passages are comforting and beautiful, like Psalm 23. Other stories are familiar and easily give us food for thought, like the parable of the Good Samaritan. Then there are ones that are more difficult, like our gospel reading today from Luke. However, we know that Jesus did not have throwaway parables, so it's up to us to search out the deeper meaning. In the same way that prosperity and good health are not signs of God's favor or a glimpse of God's blessing on earth, poverty and suffering are not signs of God's displeasure or of a sinful life. However, Jesus tells the parable of the fig tree to explain that a sinful life does have real consequences. The consequences may not be readily obvious to us, but there are consequences. In the parable, the fig tree is not living up to its potential and is disappointing the farmer. Why own a fruit tree that doesn't give fruit? If one is interested in the bottom line, the profit line, this attitude makes sense. Yet, the gardener doesn't want to be too hasty. "Give me one more year," he says, "and let me take care of the tree." The gardener is the voice of grace, of overflowing love. Although presumably he's already been caring for the tree, he requests one more year with the promise that he will carefully nurture it. Surely then the tree will flourish. If not, then it must be cut down. Thus, Jesus gives us a vision of God who has expectations for us. God is the God of judgment, yet is also the God of grace and patience. God will give us every opportunity to repent, turn around, return to Him. That was the message John the Baptizer gave to the people who flocked to hear him. God is forgiving. That one more year is our chance to do what is right. One way to do what is right can be how we deal with other people. A story of Louis Armstrong is an example of this. Known for his smiling face, raspy voice, and virtuoso trumpet playing, Louis Armstrong had a rocky start in life. He was abandoned by his father as an infant and sent to reform school when he was only 12. Surprisingly and wonderfully, this became a positive turning point. Music professor Peter Davis regularly visited the school and provided musical training for the boys. Louis quickly excelled on the cornet and became the leader of the boys' band. His life trajectory became reset, and he became a world-famous entertainer. His story can be an example for Christian parents and truly for all of us. Proverbs 22 verse 6 states, "Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it." That refers to the spiritual and moral aspects of a child's life, but it can also refer to the musical training Louis received. That training gave him a purpose in life and was instrumental, no pun intended, in giving him a focus and a way to excel. Note that I mentioned Christian parents, but the real influence in his life was not a parent. Any person at any age can make a difference in the life of a child, and actually in the life of another person of any age. All adults need to remember to set a good example. As an umpire stood behind the plate at a girls' softball game, he heard a player's mother start chanting, "We want a new ump, we want a new ump." The ump smiled, then turned towards the crowd and yelled, "I want new parents, I want new parents." The heckling died away. Again, this past winter, there were reports of hockey parents who could not control their own mouths or fists and thereby got themselves in trouble with the team and with the law. The best way to set a good example for children and others is to live out our faith in front of them. A writer named Cindy Casper, writing in Our Daily Bread, observed this about Psalm 92, which speaks of those of us at a later stage in life. Too often, those who have had a long life feel sidelined when they reach their later years. Psalm 92 reminds us that no matter how old we are, we can have a fresh and fruitful life. Men and women who have been planted in the rich soil of God's vineyard will continue to bear fruit and be fresh and flourishing. Excuse me. Jesus promised that he who abides in me and I in him will continue to bear much fruit. Excuse me. Muscles may ache and joints may hurt, but inwardly we can be renewed day by day, we are told in 2 Corinthians 4, verse 16. So the writer Cindy Casper adds, "Recently, on a beautiful white-haired woman, I saw a t-shirt that said, 'I'm not 80, I'm 18 with 62 years of experience.' No matter how old we get, we can still be young at heart, but with the benefit of a well-lived lifetime of knowledge and wisdom." End quote. To return to the thought of having a second chance, some weeks ago in the Free Press, I read about second chances and more. This was Tale of a Special Rescued Mutt, an underdog story. North Kingston, Rhode Island. This is the story of a mischievous mutt who turned out to be a very good girl. Such a good girl, in fact, that she saved a life. Ruby, an Australian Shepherd and Border Collie mix, ended up in a Rhode Island animal shelter as a pup because of persistent behavioral problems, which is a nice way of putting it. 5 families adopted her in turn, only for each to return her because she was just too rambunctious. "She was a total knucklehead," said shelter volunteer and dog trainer Patricia Inman, who repeatedly intervened to keep Ruby from being euthanized. "She jumped and bit her leash. She wouldn't sit or lie down. she just never stopped moving. She was special, and she needed a special person. Enter State Police Corporal Daniel O'Neill, who needed a search and rescue dog. In 2011, he was taken by an 8-month-old Ruby, taken by her irrepressible energy and intelligence. And after Inman vouched for her, she was trained as a police K-9. Fast forward to October 2017, when this tale takes an incredible twist. A teenage boy got lost for 36 hours while hiking, and Ruby succeeded where a human search party failed. She found the boy, who was unconscious and in grave medical condition. He turned out to be Inman's son. Rescued by Ruby, now streaming on Netflix, tells the story of a problematic pooch who just needed another shot at life. Ruby was given a chance at life and ended up saving a life. The American Humane Hero Dog Organization said in a 2018 citation naming her the nation's Search and Rescue Dog of the Year. In yet another twist, Ruby is played in that Netflix by a canine actor, Bear, another former shelter dog who was saved by the movie's dog trainers from being put down. It's a true underdog story, O'Neill said in an interview at his office at the Rhode Island State Police, where he now oversees an 18-dog K-9 unit. It's like divine intervention. She was given a chance, and she's been doing everything she can to pay it back, he said. You have this dog that was given up on, and she's changed so many people's lives. O'Neill knew adopting a shelter dog written off as unmanageable was a gamble. Police dogs typically are bred for their work and trained from birth. Most state police canines cost $7,500 and come from Europe. But O'Neill recalls being impressed by Ruby's determination and focus, and she graduated at the top of her class. And as someone with dyslexia and hyperactivity, he identified with Ruby. We both kind of know where each other's coming from, he said. On the afternoon of the boy's rescue, Ruby led O'Neill straight to the teen, who had tumbled into a ravine. O'Neill's radio and GPS were out of range, but Ruby's repeated barking drew authorities to the scene. The youth, who has since recovered, declined to be interviewed. When O'Neill knocked on the door of the boy's home, he delivered the good news. He found himself face to face with Inman. I said, Pat, this was her thank you for saving your life. You saved, she saved your boy's life. And we both started to cry. Later, as it all sank in, Inman found herself wondering, what if? What if O'Neill hadn't taken a chance? What if Ruby had been put down? I was so grateful. I was beside myself and overwhelmed, she said. So many things had to fall into place for this to happen the way it did. The universe works in mysterious ways. End quote. I don't know if you noticed as I read the article that the words divine intervention were used. Too often people think something just happens. But with faith, we see God's role and the workings of the Holy Spirit in making good things happen. Parents, teachers, grandparents, and caring people all know about giving second chances. How wonderful for us that our loving Father, God, is patient and gives us second chances. God is a merciful God who's always ready to hear us and forgive us. For that merciful blessing, let us give thanks, and may we all see our way clear to help others have a second chance. Amen.